What's up, everyone? And this is Next Level Thinking.
What's up, everyone? It's another episode of Next Level Thinking, where we always help elevate you to the next level. It's your host, Chris Holmes, doing big things, and today I have my special guest by the name of
Marvy Tall here with you. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome, Awesome. Always great to have great guests on. So go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself as we get the audience good with some good entertainment and value.
Oh, thank you again. Thank you for having me on. Youth empowerment speaker, author, consultant. Do a lot of work with the young adults. Obviously, my target is between 15 and 32. That's who I work with quite a bit. I've been a sports journalist. I've been all over the world teaching and coaching and doing all of those different things. Um, right now, I got my hands in a lot of things, working with a lot of colleges, nonprofit organizations, and really just trying to provide a service for everyone. Obviously building on dream building, goal setting, and having a relentless pursuit for life. That's typically the primary factors I like to use in uh, all of my platforms, and just really creating service and impact is the two words I try to live my life by. And those two things have definitely boded well for me in my career, and it drives the force behind everything I do. So that's in a nutshell. If we had to wrap it up in a quick, extended elevator pitch, that's where we're going with life right now.
Awesome, and thank you for that awesome pitch as well. So I want to go a little bit in details of some of the things that you hit. And one of the things I want to first hit on is service, because you got to be of service to other people. That's how you build relationships and much more. From like fast food service to prayer to your producing your talents and much more, you're going to be performing some kind of service to the community, even if it's in business or just to help out somebody in a helping hand. Service is like one of the biggest things I think that is in part of life, and I feel like this actually goes into core of a lot of your beliefs and much more. So go a little bit more in depth onto the value and what service means to you.
I think your audio kicked off, so I wasn't able to hear the question, Chris.
Let's see. Just gonna double check. What part did
Yeah,
you get of that?
it might muted your mic. I don't know how and why, but I didn't hear the question. You were building on service, and then as soon as you asked the question, it kicked off.
All right, cool. So my question was like the importance of being a service to others and like the impact it does once you do that.
Service to others is really just the key to life, all around. Not only from a business standpoint, but from a spiritual, mental, and just a human life standpoint. Without service, there can be no return of any kind. Obviously, you know that's what the market is about. You provide a service, and someone patronizes you for that service. But obviously, that can come in a monetary form, but it can also come in just a form of just knowing that you're doing right by others, because there can be, it's got to be a give and take type of situation where it's like you give and now you can receive based on giving. I mean, I know that, without going too far down the biblical path, because you can look at it from a secular path as well. You can't receive until you give. And a lot of people have that reverse where it's like, when I get more, I'll give more. And I was like, you'll never get more if you aren't willing to give. So service has to be the backbone of everything, of your business, of your personal life, of your spiritual life. I mean, a lot is asked of us while we're on earth to be able to give back. Sir, seeking ye shall find, knocking the door will be open to you. Like getting something back, but you have to provide something first. You have to provide service. You have to provide, goods and services. You have to provide tangible things and needed things for other people to be able to get a return of some kind. If you decide to just sort of sit on all that you're doing and don't want to go out and give, and you're waiting for something to happen, you're waiting for prosperity to happen, it cannot happen. There's no way it can happen until you are willing to give. And obviously, when you give from a standpoint to where you are giving, as they would say, cheerfully, willingly, wanting to give in that way, well, the returns come back. And I mean, and that's, you don't even have to be a strong believer in any type of faith system to know that, like, that is pretty much how it works. You give and it comes back to you in a multiplied fashion. I mean, you can test this out in any area of life, in any type of way, whether it's your family, whether it's your job, whether it's just doing community service, any of those types of things. When you give, it does something well for you to know that you've done well for someone else, but to also know that you're planting seeds and you're giving in a way that's going to be beneficial and you know from a certain standpoint to make the world a better place. Are you here to make the world a little bit better than when you got here? Are you contributing something to the overall good of mankind? I just think that that's extremely important, and I typically try to live my life to where I don't take any actions that do not provide service and some level of impact.
That's very powerful among all the words you just spoke of. And like to use the analogy of this is like when you are giving, to me, it's like you're planting your seeds. And it can be good or bad seeds. So you want to make sure that you plant good seeds into people. And you never know because I guarantee you had experiences like this where you helped the person, didn't even think too much of it, just out of like of the goodness of your heart. And then let's say it may not be immediately, but like 1 year later, this person ends up helping you on your pathway of life. And so it's very important for people to remember to always be of good service to people because you never know when you're going to be flipped around, you'll be asking for a helping hand. So that was very powerful. So, with a follow up question to that amazing answer, is the impact on the people's lives when you give service to people. Go a little bit more in detail to that because I'm pretty sure people are listening and be like, I got you, I understand. Hearing you of being a good service to the community and much more, but kind of educate me more on the impact. So the mic is yours.
Okay, when it comes to impact, I actually probably have a story that would help sort of illustrate this a little bit better. Um, you know, for the listeners who are out there who maybe are sort of in a trying time, maybe they're in a season where it's maybe a seed time and not harvest time when it comes from a standpoint of like, things aren't quite going the way I planned them to go. Maybe there's some turmoil in the home, maybe there's a little bit of dysfunction at work, or just, you're just not really feeling yourself right now, and you're in a place where you're just like, man, there's a lot of things that aren't going well for me right now. I remember having one of those type of situations when I went through a family separation back in 2017. And, I wasn't in my home. I was bouncing around in different places and I just couldn't focus. And I remember going into that time and I was just like, I'm going to go a little spiritual here. I was like, God, what is it that you want me to do? Like, I'm out of my mind right now. I don't know what I need to be doing. God was like, I gave you a gift, and I gave you a gift to be able to serve and provide services to people at a certain level. And I was like, well, I don't really have the money to do a lot of things or whatever. And it was just like, I gave you a gift, you need to go use it. And I remember finding this football camp I wanted to work with. And I loved what they were doing. They were teaching, teenagers holistic things. They were teaching them etiquette, teaching them how to dress, teaching them how to, like, it was more about life and less about football. And I saw this camp, it was across the country. And I was like, you know what? I want to get with these guys. And I remember I said, how do I approach this guy? This guy has no idea who I am. And I remember sending an email to him and I said, you know what? I love what you're doing. I want to be involved. And I said, this is what I'm going to do for you. I want to come and provide a keynote and a leadership program to your camp. And I remember him writing me back and he said, man, I love your platform. I love what you're doing, but we don't have money in the budget. And I remember writing back to him and I said, this is not about money. This is about service and creating impact for your young man. I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tithe my keynote fees to your organization. I said, you take care of my travel, lodging, and one meal, and I will come down there and provide that service for you. 5-hour trip. And he was like, I don't know what to say. I was like, well, you can say yes. And he ended up saying yes. And we ended up going down there and doing that. And I remember getting down there because for every paid opportunity I have, I do a community service project while I'm down there. So he connected me with another gentleman who was going to give me a community service project. Well, when I got down there, I found out that through all of the searchings, he could not find a community service project for me during that time. I was down there for 4 days and he was like, I don't have anything down here for you. I was like, man, I really want to be able to do some service while I'm down here. And he's like, I don't have anything. He said, but what I do have is I have a leadership conference that I'm doing this upcoming fall. And he's like, I'd like you to come back for that. We'll pay you for that. And at that time, I'll find you a community service project. Now, how does that work?
Th-
That worked because I simply said, I'm going down here to serve at a time when I needed income at a whole nother level. I'm breaking even at best at this. But I went down there with an open heart to serve. And not only did I get the service project, I got a paid gig that was paid forward that I came back and ended up fulfilling and did a community service project in the thing. So, what am I saying? When you lead with service and not so much looking at the bottom line from a certain standpoint, things can happen for you. Because what you did is you planted a seed. You planted a seed of goodness because you went, you went with your mind and heart working together and saying, I want to do this. And I remember my mentor was telling me one time, he said, if you get to the point where maybe not so much that you're reaching your threshold as far as what you're getting paid per event, when you get to the point where you're allowing what you're doing to lead as opposed to what the check is going to look like, he's like, you'll be amazed how many doors will open for you when you say, I'm going to serve first and then we can start talking about the dollars later. He's like, as long as you're not losing and you're getting some sort of profit out of it, he's like, unless the time is just too great and you just can't do it, go for it. He's like, what's the worst that can happen when you're going with the idea of service first? And I've used that principle at many different times, and that format has worked numerous times to where opportunities have showed up out of nowhere, where it's just like, where did this come from? I mean, I found my international opportunity that same way because an event I did where I led with service first led to someone in Abu Dhabi to find me to have me host and do a seminar at an international conference in Africa because of that principle. So find a way, find what your talent is. Find what your talent is and what service you can provide based on that talent, your skill or whatever. Lead with that. And if you have the opportunity to be able to do that, go ahead and serve in that regard. And simply just ask, hey, I'm going to provide this service for you. If you could, can you basically just give me a referral or two for doing this service for you? Cost you nothing. If you have colleagues or something, if you have other opportunities, please do that for me. But I want to come provide this for your organization, your group of people, your church, your school, whatever. Lead with service first and watch how doors open for you. You never know because most of the times the blessing you're looking for, the opportunity you're looking for is not going to come from where you did the service. But you got to remember, everything is working in the invisible because everything that is visible was once invisible. And once you get to the point where you're leading with that, a lot of opportunities will happen for you. And it'll just seem like good fortune is just happening when in actuality, you paid it forward by putting service first and looking to make impact on people's lives before looking at what's in it for me.
You said it perfectly. I don't want to add anything to that. And like he said what it said, it just sounded just right. But what I do want to do is kind of round it up and tell the audience a little bit about your upcoming, like the story of how you came to this person today, because they are receiving a great amount of value, and they're like, oh man, this person's making me think I need to start serving, have the mindset of a service first. So you already gave them a good hook with this one. So let's go ahead and build a whole foundation. Like, let's hear your story of like your humble beginnings and then to get into this person of today.
Whew. Yeah, we can take. I'd say it goes probably back to 2009, um, right around the time when I was engaged at the time, and I was writing a book. I wrote my first book, Awaken the Baller Within, during this time, and Awaken the Baller Within came at a moment in life where I had a complete crash from the relationship I had had before. I had just bought a home. I was 29 years old. I bought a home, had a nice ride. I mean, I'm living the American dream, and I'm not even 30 yet. Yet I was like extremely depressed. I wasn't. I just felt like there was something missing in my life, and I just didn't know what it was. And so I found personal and spiritual development. Joined a couple of church organizations to really help me out. Hired a mentor, had a life coach, and it was like everything was sort of coming together. But at the same time, I was working for Fox Sports as a college football recruiting analyst, and I was just like, man, I was like, I came up on all this info, but I sure would love to be able to mix my sports love with my newfound personal and spiritual development. And so that's what Awaken the Baller Within turned out to be, kind of the athlete's life. It was almost like an athlete's life manual. And so I mixed the two together to where they can all come together with that. And so, I had my book or whatever, it's published and everything. And I was like, hey, I got this book now, what do I do? And then the guy was like, hey, if you want to sell a book, you should start speaking. And I'm like, really? How about I try that out? And so I used to open for my mentor. He used to have a spiritual experience in North Houston. And he used to have a segment that started at the beginning, which one time he had gave a sermon or something. And I was like, what you said about that meant this to me. And he said, well, that's a great testimonial. Why don't you share that with the people at the front of service before we get started? Come to find out, I'm just sharing my thoughts on what he said. And the people were just like, is this part of the program? And it was just like, no, but maybe it is now. And so my start came in the spiritual sense of, speaking. I would have a segment at the front called Vital Thoughts for Transformation. I would take 7 to 12 minutes and open up, with 3 points, quick to the point, and then I'd have a little prayer or whatever, and then I was done. But I did that for like 3 or 4 years before I started going on tour promoting Awaken The Baller Within, which is the book that's behind me. And so then I'm moving through all of this stuff, and I remember an interesting fact that happened. I had published that book. That would have been October of 2011. And my books had just came in, and I was on my way to go see my father because the book was just published, and I was on my way to go see him, and I had the book. And I was like, man, we're going to sit down. I'm going to show him my first book. Had a hardback ready to go for him. And he died the night after my 33rd birthday. So I'm sitting here with the published book, ready to show it. Dad's proud or whatever. Now it's my 33rd birthday. He's not breathing anymore. And I remember during that time, I had a fight with God. I was just like, you told me that, like, if I believed in you and you would never leave me in this spot. I was like, you're leaving me with a very huge void at this time. Obviously I'm a grown man, but I'm still looking to my father for a lot of those key things. And the beautiful thing was that at that time, my father was retired, and there was no time I could not answer the call and he wouldn't pick the phone up. And I'm like, God, you took that from me. What is it that you want me to do with this? And I remember having that conversation right outside the hospital. I'm screaming, crying, sweating, everything. It's 3:45 in the morning. My dad's taking his last breath. And I remember, hearing that voice, and it was just like, I gave you everything you need. I need you to go out and be the man you're supposed to be. And, that's what sort of led to this next transformation. Stayed with Fox a many more years. I worked on another books and things of that nature. Speaking started picking up or whatever. And then I just always kept that lesson that, my father was sharing with me, that like everything my father stood for, the humility, the character that it takes to be able. Basically, his thing was just, if you just treat people right, you might be okay. Just simple things like that. My other father would always say, the best way, the way you need to live life is live the best life you can and then give it all away. So that's two sides of my two fathers who threw those two things. So, I mean, it's very simple. And granted, I'll be honest, I don't always live up to that. But my goal is to, always make sure that I'm standing as close as I can to the principles that my father's left for me. And so, now, the speaking circuit, I'm starting to teach more. I'm working in a lot of nonprofits, teaching the young kids. And that's really been a huge thing for me here lately, especially with how a lot of the school system a lot of things were revealed over these past year and a half. Whether it's the public schooling, whether it's politics, whether it's a number of different things. And the school system comes to mind the most because that's where a lot of people come with a lot of issues. And we have young kids who I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but we're going to lose some of the kids in this generation who are elementary school kids who lost a year and a half of in-person schooling. They're now coming back, and some of them are not doing well, even though they're back in school in person. It has not been good for them. And so I'm actually re-upping with the nonprofit I'm working with and going to come in. They said, we want the I Am More Than Enough guy to come back. And, we're going to go back on the 3 points that I teach. I teach K through 5 with this stuff. And we focus on love, gratitude, and respect. And those 3 things, like, how would you feel if a 9-year-old feels like, they don't want to live anymore? How would you feel when, yes, When a 9-year-old is saying, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy of love, I'm not worthy of instruction, I'm not worthy of somebody caring about who I am and what I do. And so a lot of work is going to have to be done there. And it's going to be one of those where it's like, you're going to have to get down low and get a little dirty. This is going to be the season where guys like yourself, our colleagues, guys who are standing up for the good of what's going to be the future of this country, we're going to take those suit and ties off, right? We have to put those overalls on, those coveralls on. We're going to have to put the work boots on, steel toes. We're going to have to get in the dirt. We're going to have to get down there. Got to be the roughnecks. We got to get, we got to be farmers. We got to put on those type of clothing and get down in the dirt and just deal with the dirtiness of what's going on. Because the future generation, cause see, this is not about us. It is, but it isn't. We need to be the best version of us for the 9-year-old version of us, for the 12-year-old version of us, for the 17-year-old version of us, for the 22-year-old version of us. This is not about us. So we have to go, go to the mountainside, do whatever we need to do to be the best we can for not only our children, but for other children who don't have, a Chris in their corner, who don't have a Chip in their corner, who don't have a Chaz in their corner, who don't have these gentlemen who we work with, the Pierres, the Carls, these men who are saying, you know what, I'll step up and I'll do what needs to be done in this spot. I'll serve in that capacity. When that's the driving force, because what we really want to do is we want to plant enough seeds, right? We want to plant enough seeds to where we create the next young men to be better than us, right? I don't want you to be like me. I want you to surpass me by 10, 20, 50 fold, right? So if we can find one who buys in and one who's like, you know what, come teach me this game. And then we pour into them, the cup overfloweth to give them everything they need to be able to move forward. That's what drives me on a daily basis. That's what drives me when I'm going in to do my teen ministry work, when I'm going into the Boys and Girls Club, when I'm going into Salvation Army, when I'm going into these colleges, when I'm going into some of these high schools. And you have that young man who looks at himself and says, I'm not worthy of success. And you have to look at him and say, who told you that? Who told you we weren't worthy of this next level? Who told you that you're not deserving of these things? Who told you that you have to settle for what someone else has told you? And sometimes you got to kind of pull the scab off and be like, who lied to you? Who told you when you weren't worthy of love? Who told you all these things? And so we have a very tough and challenging job ahead of us. And if we cannot get weary and get tired in doing the work, I think we'll see some impact. Will we see the fruition of it in our lifetime? Maybe not. But if we can create and duplicate ourselves 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, now if you take all those gentlemen together, now you have an army, right? Where we can write some of these different things, where we can write these different situations, where we can look at the home life. We can look at the situations that's ahead of us. Look at the dropouts in school. Look at the suicide rates. Look at the teen pregnancy and different things like that and say, you know what? There's a better way. And we can stop that train before it ever gets off, before it even starts to get the locomotive moving. We can say, no. You're on the wrong track. Let's slide over here. Just 2 inches. Slide over this way and try something new. And that's what wakes me up every morning.
Very powerful. You hit on so many points that you can just rewind just that little section right there and get so much else from overcoming, putting your mindset into it, and just so much valuable information to everything that you said, because I feel like a lot of people face those challenges on an everyday basis. And then out of you telling that and using your background story, you're going to inspire other people to tell their story, because you're telling your story. And the reason I brought that up too is what actually connects everybody. Everybody, like, it's like I always go to this example, like, no one wants to see the superhero that's completely perfect and he's just like completely immune to everything. You can relate to that. But when you have someone who looks just like you, who has superpowers, because I believe we all have our own little unique skills and much more and talents and superpowers, we can do different things, but it has their vulnerable moments but still overcomes those challenging adversities and rise up. That's what makes the story so inspiring. And that's what you told in that, and along with other lot of good bullets and points as well. So toodles to do that on that much more, because providing that, especially a community service to the community that you serve. What I want to add next to ask you now is, what are some of the present projects that you're working on now? Because I know right now it was like a water hose of great information. People have to rewind a couple sections, but that's what I want. I want people to think and kind of come back to these videos, because it pushes the mind and makes people think the next level. So go ahead on that.
Currently, right now, the projects I'm working on right now is my second book, I Am More Than Enough, 3 Ways to Overcome the Fear of Your Own Reflection. Um, I have taught that at the elementary level, I've taught that at the high school level, and I've taught it in ministry as well. That is now, I've done enough of that work to where now there's a full curriculum that's going to be created from that. Looking to offer that right now. There's 2 churches, 3 churches teaching the material right now. Looking to do that, looking to obviously create that into an online platform. We'll need to do quite a bit of video work and sort of work through those things. And also, it's been such a success at certain locations I've worked with that now I'm going to rewrite I Am More Than Enough, the Christian version of it. I'm going to call it the Christian remix, to where it's going to be very, because the lessons have been very biblical based, following the teachings of Jesus and different things of that nature. So I'm going to rewrite that book, as far as that's concerned. Also working on my third published book at the moment. I'm actually talking with publishers at the current time, working on the query letter and different things. I've already talked to one publisher. I have a couple of more on tap I'm looking to do, and getting some feedback, because you want to talk about the water hose. Um, that book is like, it's like a fire hydrant on steroids, and so I need to
Took
sort
out.
of look some things over and get that worked out. But hoping to have that book out by the fall, as far as that's concerned. It focuses on all the key ways you need to be able to
And you
be a
will. I gotta
have a
change that.
life.
Right, you will get it out there.
Yes, it will be. It will be out there. And it focuses on the key points of life. Reflection, decision, planning, acting, and seeking guidance to be able to do what you need. It's really a book for somebody who either has made some mistakes and looking to recover, or that young, hungry person who is just like, man, I want to do something, but just has zero direction. And the reason why that works out is because you're looking at a guy who, struggles with direction, because, you're trying to write down, start 4 or 5 books at a time and things of that nature. So, trying to get some focus. And so that book is really a manual for the younger version and the older version of myself. And along the way, I think it's going to help a lot of young people. So those are the 2 main projects I'm working on. I have a conference coming up, an international conference coming up, helping young African students get into the agricultural business, sustainability to build for their families, and try to change the tide on the poverty level and things of that nature. So I'm working with that organization here as well, and so we'll be getting some more information out on that here shortly. But those are the main projects I'm working on right now. I know I got a stack of to-do lists over there, but those are the main things that people will see in the near future coming from me, and just you know see me in the streets. Probably going to get back to some of the colleges I've worked with, working with the football team, working with the athletic departments. Starting locally, I like take care of home first, and then stretching out. To places like Florida and then other locations and things of that nature. So I'm definitely looking forward to that work, and just really building and focusing on what's going to matter most, and being able to focus on getting these youngsters in a position to be able to win. Because if no one has
Awesome.
told them, not only are you enough, but you can far succeed anything that you've seen already done. Not only can you do
Awesome.
it, you can excel at it. So
Nice, nice.
that's
And
where you want to go with it.
the sky's the limit, and you will knock out all those projects you have in the future, so you can make a powerful impact into others and much more. So I want to follow with that, from that question to this one, because I feel like it's a great transition. The importance of believing into yourself, because with everything that you spoke on to, I feel like it just directed right into this question. So go ahead and give value on this, because there's times like, people be down, they may lose belief into themselves. Now I know you kind of like overall hit it, But then let's go right direct into it. Like, what would you tell the person who lost belief in themselves to get them back on track?
Whew, that's a loaded question and requires that could require its own situation. But I would say, um, sit down with yourself and have an objective conversation with yourself. Um, and I'll use one of my strategies that I used in my last book, I Am More Than Enough. You know, it's always easy to find out what's wrong in your life. When it comes down to, like, complaining or something is not working, it's easy for you to talk about what's not working. Well, what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and have a full out. I'm talking turn up with all the fixings, all the food, all the whatever you do. I want you to have a full out party of what's wrong in my life. I want you to take a pad, whatever pad you want to, and I want you to draw a line down. I usually use the yellow. The yellow legal pads are probably best because they give a little bit more length to them. And I want you to go through and have a moment. Maybe pour you up a glass of something if that's your thing, or whatever you do. And I want you to write down everything that's wrong with you, everything you don't like about yourself, everything that you think you lack, all the mistakes you made. I'm talking like I'm talking full-fledged pity party. Have at it. Go at it all and just keep on writing. It's like, oh, I didn't think of that. Because you can think about all the things that are wrong. It's hard for you to feel like things are right. I want you to give everything, go into details, get graphic with it. Like, yeah, I'm not this. I'm not this. This isn't going well. This person don't like me. This didn't work out. I didn't close this deal. I'm this. I'm that. I'm just have all out of it, all the way down. Just write it all down. Then when you're done, I want you to take that pad and I want you to sit on it, probably for 24 hours. Put it away. Let it sit there. And then, you can continue doing what you do. You can feel bad about yourself. Like, I'm talking about go through the emotional roller coaster of I don't have anything going on and I'm no good to society. All of it. Let it all out. Then I want you to come back in a day and I want you to maybe take a time to reflect. Maybe go into meditation, daydream, prayer, whatever your thing is. Take a couple of deep breaths and I want you to go back and look at that list. And on the other side of that list, I want you to look at all the things that you think is wrong. And I want you to write 3 words. What's good here? What's good here? I want you to take the most traumatic things that you've ever dealt with, or the things that you think are totally wrong, and I want you to find one positive, not a bunch, just one positive in all of those things. And if you don't find one positive in it, I want you to look at this. When you go back and reread over it, look at that and say, why does that even bother me? Is that even important? Does that even matter? Right? And look over that entire list and either A, find something that's positive in, because you're going to look through that list and you're going to realize some of those things that are on there, you wouldn't have became what you became without that tragedy happening to you. That's number 1. Number 2, you may look back over the list and be like, why does this even bother me? Why is this even important? This has nothing to do with me. And in 3, you might be like, had that not happened, I wouldn't have left that situation, which led me to this situation. So where is the good in all of this? So either one or 3 things is going to happen. Either you're going to find the good and realize that you built that to become the person you needed to become. 2, you'll realize, why am I even sweating this? Or 3, you'll be like, I gained so much knowledge from that. When I was going to deal with that issue, I went to this meeting and I met this person who led me to this person who led me to the love of my life, led me to another job or an opportunity, led me to a speaking engagement, led me to a company I now work for, led me to some place where I met some great people and I'm part of an organization that's doing great work. So had this tragedy not happened, what's the chain reaction that happened from that? What's good here? And that's a principle that came out of I Am More Than Enough, because and the beautiful thing is like when you teach this in real time, it gets real emotional. It gets real emotional. That's why I say I want you to have the full pity party. I want all the emotions to come out. I don't want you to hold anything back. I don't want you to be like, if you can think the negative thought, let it out. Because I want you to have a mind dump of what you think doesn't work. Because what you're going to find in there, Like I had a gentleman who did this, and he said, man, I was with a young lady, she was into drugs, she was leading me down the wrong path or whatever, and all of these different things, man. I was just a totally different person when I was with her. And I looked at him and I was like, don't you have a beautiful wife over there? And he said, yeah. I said, why don't you call your ex-girlfriend and tell her thank you?
Oh, that's deep.
Why don't you call your ex and tell her thank you? Because the beautiful way that you treated me, the oh so glorious way you treated me through our relationship, led me to the idea that this is what I no longer want. And now that I saw what I didn't want, I found exactly what I did want over here. And they're about to have a child together.
That is deep. That is super deep.
Thank you. Thank you, adversity. Thank you, pain. Thank you, challenge. Thank you, obstacle. Thank you, every ex who wanted me to be destroyed. Thank you, misplaced parents. Thank you, teachers who did not believe in me. Thank you to coaches who benched me when I was good. Thank you to all of these things. I appreciate you. I wouldn't have gotten here without you.
And right
That's
there,
what you
that's where
do
you
to your
just stop.
problems.
That's
That's what you
definitely
do with your
powerful.
problems.
That was
That's what
definitely
you do.
no further questions. Just leave it right there. So with that, tell the audience where they can find you, because that right there, whew, got me over there thinking. Just tell them where you find
Find me at ahmardvital.com. That's ahmardvital.com. That's my platform there. And any of the social media platforms, it's just Ahmard Vital, no alias. It's just my name. Feel free to reach out to me. My contact form is there. If you have a question about anything that was said here, shoot me a message. I'll get back to you as soon as I'm able. Here to serve, here to assist, and here to be there for those who just want to find out, just want to make tomorrow a little bit better than the next day. Not major shifts, just to where maybe you're not just as disagreeable with yourself. Just one step at a time. To where maybe you'll wake up tomorrow morning and say, I want to give life one more shot. Not
Awesome.
big moves.
Very well said. Very, very
It
well
is.
said. Everything. So it's your host, Chris Holmes, always bringing you great, inspirational, but not only that, providing you a lot of value and make you sit down and think like this. Oh man, wow. But this is what this podcast is all about, making you think, shift, and then go ahead and rise to the next level so that you can do great things in your life. Again, it's your host, Chris Holmes. I have a special guest by the name of
Ahmard Vital, coming to you with
Awesome.
my man
Awesome.
over here. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me on.
It's a pleasure having you on. Make sure you share, subscribe, comment, much more. We're going to have a lot more great guests coming your way. It's all about making you think and take it to the next level. And peace.